There's something really human about Frida that I really related to. And it wasn't that she was just evil or hated Cinderella.
Sorry.
She just was like bored out of her mind, and she has this one day where she gets to create havoc, and she really goes for it.
Don't let her get the stick! Let go of it, little freak!
What's this?
You see these fairy tales that you love and that you know so well, like Little Red Riding Hood and Sleeping Beauty, and you'll see them turned inside out, I think, in a very delightful way.
If I'm gonna shake things up around here, I'm gonna need some bad guys.
It's kind of funny to see what happens when all the darker figures start running things. You know, they turn out to be very human, too.
7 Billy Goat Scruff, medium rare.
They want to sit around, not have to work so hard. Frida has to really, like, make them get up. She has, you know, health problems.
Find Cinderella and bring her to me!
Us? Work? Before noon?
I've been offered a lot of scripts where, you know, they want me to play the Wicked Queen or something, and it hasn't been very interesting to me because they're just sort of relentlessly, irredeemably wicked all the time.
Your Highness, your lowness, your badness.
And I just found her very likable, and it's rare to find a villain, especially in an animated film, who is not just sort of evil.
That's it! You can't send witches or wolves to do an empress's job. Get me a broom.
I just think that it's very refreshing and a very ingenious and imaginative story.
Somebody needs a diaper change. You're not her Prince Charming. You're the dishwasher.
I am not. I do laundry, too.
The great thing about Rick is he's the anti-hero. He really tries to fly under the radar, and he's very reluctant to fight the good fight.
You know the Cinderella story, right? Remember Rick the servant? Of course you don't.
He's the everyman, and he doesn't want to have any part of any movement. He doesn't have a soapbox to stand on.
So, are you a good guy, or a bad guy, or what guy?
Neither. I work in the kitchen. But when push comes to shove, he does make the right decision.
This guy's useless. I'm gonna save her.
In this tower, high above the prince's palace,
Is what you might call the Department of Fairy Tale Land Security.
Voice work is always fun. I've done it quite a few times now. This was one of the first times I ever did it, and the experience was so much fun.
let's go back a little, and I give you the lowdown on Fairy Tale Land.
Because you just sort of, you just get to go crazy. You can try anything you want, and they encourage you to try anything you want.
And then there's one fair maiden, Ella. Now, you probably know her as Cinderella, but she's always been Ella to me.
I'm invited too, just like I've dreamed about, the royal ball.
Her character gives my character a hard time and doesn't take any lip, and Sarah is very similar in that regard, and so am I.
Rick, we have to do something.
Like what?
Find the prince. He's out looking for me now. He may go far away. We have to find him. We need the prince.
You mean you need the prince?
This isn't about me.
We got to do our ADR sessions together. When they're at odds, we have a lot of fun. We know the tricks that we've played on each other, and we know when it's time to give one of us a hard time, and we have a lot of fun doing that. And there's a lot of that in the script.
You don't want to find the prince. You want him out of the way so you can be the hero yourself.
Ella, I know the prince.
He needs her to get on board, and she's not going for it because she thinks she's supposed to be with this prince who is just a stooge and can't get it right.
You crossed a desert to bring her a shoe?
Yes, well, it's in the book.
He has help along the way, but he has these leadership qualities that I think he tries to hide and bury to avoid responsibility. And then when the time comes, you know, he makes mistakes, but eventually he does the right thing.
I like when the expected turns into the unexpected. I like overturning the apple cart, upsetting the apple cart. The premise of the movie is just, you know, takes things we expect and tries to turn them around for us.
Monk, Mambo.
It's time for my vacation. I'm off to Scotland. Remember what I taught you. You have to maintain the balance between good and evil. I enjoy the challenge of working with a director behind the glass and getting readings from him.
Let's do the first part again.
Yeah. Seeing you do that let me know it was okay. I know a lot of actors don't like you to give them line readings. I don't mind that because I'm really not a trained actor. Monk! Open the portal! But I'm a good mimic, and in the case of these voiceovers, I can say, okay, well, how do you hear it, and let them do it, and then I do that. It's fun to just challenge yourself. And remember, keep your eyes on the ball. It's about disturbing the order of things, and this is clearly a great switch. I like that.
Come on, cough it up.
I am invited, stepmother.
Oh, if she goes, she'll just embarrass us.
The most important thing for me was the personality of the characters, not just the look. How do they react? How do they walk? How do they talk? All this kind of stuff.
Here we go.
So when you look for reference points, Ella was Audrey Hepburn, for example, because we had made the choice early on to have short hair. So we wanted to find a nice look and a nice mannerism for her.
Who are you guys? What are you guys?
I'm Monk. He's Mambo.
Monk and Mambo are very much in the classic animation mold.
I'm dancing. I'm backward skating. Not so easy.
They're very much the mischievous, cat-like, springy character and the slow, more assured, dumpy pig character.
Couldn't we just give her split ends, or dandruff, or a mullet, or something?
Working with the voice talent was really, really cool.
And what do you want to have happen? Rumpelstiltskin gets the baby? Cinderella stays a maid?
It was good fun. It was great to work with them. They're all great people, and they really love the film.
His job is to make sure every fairy tale goes by the book.
No giving yourself huge pectoral muscles, Mambo.
It's interesting to see how they work because it's not their faces you rely on, it's their voice. But having said that, we videoed a few of the sessions, so we used some of that as reference in the animation, particularly Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Did you guys see a prince come this way? About 6'2", perfect body, perfect face. Oh, perfect everything.
I felt that the film should be a bit more stylized, less realistic.
Darling, load up them diamonds.
The whole feel of the world felt like it could have been a theme park, like somebody had built this place.
Come on. Show me what you got, witches.
So it's very rooted in classic fairy tale book illustration.
Have no fear, my beloved!
Fairy tale characters are timeless because we can imagine ourselves as those characters. Everyone can find themselves within the fairy tales. We're all there. I think that's what makes them the only stories that will never get old. They're always fresh.
Then the prince took Cinderella to his castle, and they lived happily ever after.
No, they did not! Whose side are you on?
The amazing thing about the Grimm's brothers is that they didn't just write those tales out of their imaginations, they gathered them. And I think that's part of the reason they have such a powerful appeal to this day, because they are folk stories that are repeated. They'd already been told generation after generation. People have been telling those tales until the Grimm's brothers did us the favor of writing them down so brilliantly.
She gets the prince? No way! Not while I'm in charge!
A lot of people don't know that the Grimm's brothers themselves changed the endings of their tales, kind of like we're doing in the movie.
I think the little princess needs a makeover!
There are different versions where different things happen to some of our beloved characters, and a lot of people would be very surprised to see what actually happens in those stories.
I thought you wanted a prince.
I had one all along. I just didn't know it.
So there are a lot of surprises there, and I think that in some way our film captures that spirit of surprise and of a twist on the familiar.
Ella needs you. You gotta save her.
Yeah. Yes.
Ella, the girl you danced with at the ball?
That maiden.
I think we've gone for a simplistic approach to the animation, not to have it too busy. With a lot of the CG movies that we see, they tend to have an over-animated feel where everything's moving too much. Our approach was to make very clear, direct performances, and there's some nice subtle performances there with Frida, with Rick and Ella.
Sorry about that. Are you?
Fine. It was fine. I mean, I'm fine.
I guess we should look for the
Prince.
The Prince, as a character, is more cartoony. He's broader.
My chance to prove myself. Exactly what am I saving her from?
And then you have the dwarfs.
Hey, that was my big toe.
And the witches that are even broader still.
Circle around! Do you copy? Graduate!
And they kind of lend themselves more to the Warner Brothers kind of MGM style of animation from the 40s.
Stirrups, straps, do not let go of the reins. Right, got it.
I think there's a nice mixture, but collectively the whole thing has its own style, which is quite unique.
Captured by trolls. Kiss thy royal butt goodbye!
Hi, how you doing? I'm Paul Bulger. I'm the director of Happily Never After. What I want to do is introduce you to the character development stage of the film and the process. This is the part of what we do where we discover the concept, the idea of the character and the look, and how that look will finally carry through in the final film.
I hate that girl. She's so girly.
We have Ella, Cinderella, our main character. I decided to give Ella short hair, and we thought it was kind of a brave move to give this girl short hair. Out of that modern feel, we ended up referring to certain modern actors from this era and even earlier from the 50s and whatever. And a couple of classic performances by certain actors came to mind, and we used those images to help us move forward. And with the same process as any other character in the film, we went through drawing out our ideas. The costume was a sort of an attempt, I think, to keep her some way kind of modern, but at the same time like a servant. So she has that apron. Her costume is a variation on the Irish flag. She's green, white and gold, or yellow or orange. She's a very muted version of the Irish flag, which was a bit of fun.
Hello? Oh, Rick, it's you.
I'm sorry to be such a disappointment.
With Rick, the challenge was much the same as it was with the other characters. He was a modern personality in an old-fashioned world. We tried to make him as much now as we could. So he's one of the things that somebody said to me was they wanted him a bit like a surfer, that he would have a certain vibe about him that was very much the rebel. We started to base Rick's look on a certain bunch of people. So we started to build up a mental picture of who Rick is. We played around with him having short hair one time. We didn't like it in the end. He made him too boyish looking. We wanted somebody who was maybe in their early 20s, late teens, early 20s, not somebody who was 14 or 15. We tried to put a 5 o'clock shadow on him, sort of like he hadn't shaved that morning. It was just an attempt to try and make him look a bit more older, a bit more mature.
Anna likes the dishwasher.
With Frida, we knew she was going to be evil. How evil is she going to be? Is she going to be the classic, fairy, evil fairy queen? Not really, although we did some sketches like that. We made her very much the kind of one that was in control of the magic, that could make herself appear, much like she does in the film, but much more dramatic with a big cape. And she's just Cinderella's stepmother who got lucky, you know. She went upstairs, found a magic stick and went, woohoo, all right, I'm going to take over. She wouldn't even have a clue how to behave like a queen, you know. She thinks she does. When we got her hair down, that allowed us to get almost like the Cobra feeling. As a concept, she was a Cobra. And then out of that came the drawings, different types of costumes, different types of dresses. And all these aspects of design crept into Frida. How modern should she be? What kind of ball gown should we make her wear? Should we make her wear exactly Venetian style stuff from the 16th century? We went into all this detail, and then we started to draw her face. We looked at Sigourney, looked at how her face is, try and visualize. How is this one gonna, what's gonna make her so striking? Well, again, we decided fire. Orange hair, she wears a red dress, she's, you know, like an explosion. So she's almost like a fire demon.
I'm a prince of portals, a master of magic.
Big deal. You're the doorman, door pig, hippo thingy. You know what you are.
Monk is one half of the oddball duo that work with the wizard. They're his assistants, Goofy, but Monk is a kind of the teacher's pet. He wants to impress the wizard at all times. Not really a pig, we don't. Maybe he's a little hippopotamus, we don't know. We made his skin kind of yellowish because we didn't want him with the human flesh color skin. And these ideas helped to formulate how they walk, how they move. You know, we started to think, what clothes could he wear? They have these ridiculous waistcoats in Ireland, or vests that you buy, and they're all patchwork. They're like a patchwork quilt. So we thought, well, let's give him these patch kind of trousers, you know, which are a bit weird. And you know, maybe he's like he can't afford to get new trousers, so he's made them up from stuff he found. A picture of this guy starts to appear. He's got this big ridiculous hat, and in the end we had a very strange design, like a little basketball with short arms and legs. So Monk became this kind of weird hippopotamus pig thing.
I'm calling the boss.
Why? Why? We fixed it. Don't call the boss.
With Mambo, he's very much your classic, typical animation style character that you've seen in lots and lots of cartoons. We still don't know what kind of creature he is. Maybe it is a muskrat, maybe it is a rat. I always said he was like a shaved squirrel. Maybe he was a smart-talking joker or jester in the court, and the king didn't like him anymore or something, or the prince, so he got turned into what he is now for being, you know, having a big mouth, and that's why he's got the attitude. And I wanted to have a kind of cartoon character in the film that was familiar, but not one that we know. So that's why he has the big eyes. We had many, many issues with his look. His costume was a bit of fun as well. He had at one point very long, skinny legs. He has the classic kind of snout, cat or dog nose, we're not quite sure. There was nothing about Mambo that changed in 3D from the 2D, which was amazing actually.
So, what do? Are you a fair maiden, lady in waiting, damsel in distress? I've got...
The prince would have been one of the characters that really, really didn't change from the 2D drawing. There was some very specific sketches that were done of him. And then we started to take that sketch and sort of build on the idea of who this guy is. Was we all agreed that he was very much a character out of time. He's a guy that might have led a sheltered life. He lived in a big castle and lived in a period where things were a little different. We kind of had a joke about the 1980s kind of pop. There was a few bands that had ridiculous hair back in the 80s, so we definitely tried to do a little bit of that with his hair. He's not muddled. He's not fluffy about how he moves. He's quite direct and everything's big and broad. He's definitely not a method actor.
Stole a baby! That's about as evil as it gets!
With Rumpelstiltskin, there's a few classic horror kind of characters, and we decided to make fun of that and have a bit of, he's kind of creepy. He's got green skin, you know. So the whole idea was, how do we put that in a drawing? How do we capture that feeling? So we did a curved line. So we began with a bent wire, almost. And then out of that, we started to develop the idea of the big, you know, eyes and all this business. You try to explore, like you take, you know, there's a classic way of drawing, which you draw, imagine a mask here, like the Lone Ranger mask. And you take this and you squash it, and you get this kind of feeling, you know? And then you push that. Now in a cartoon, obviously the eye can go up here, but when this goes up, this goes down. So we started to pull the pretend muscles in his face. So, you know, you contort everything through drawings, and then we tried to recreate that in the computer. We started to play around with different positions and different expressions and different types of characters. We had maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 different versions of Rumpelstiltskin. And somebody, for fun in the studio, built a little statue of one of the drawings, and we all loved it. And that's very similar to the Rumpelstiltskin we have now. I got this idea that he's almost like a magpie because he steals something. And then we thought, sneaky, green, envy, you know, and started to build a color palette for him. So he got more interesting looking. We have the wolves, the three main bad guys, if you want to call it, that Frida uses to go and get Cinderella. The three wolves very much act as a group, but you can see the differences. I wanted to have them cartoony. You know, I wanted to have them more like big dogs or something. They have a certain traditional look to them. What I mean by traditional is hand-drawn.
Hey! No trespassing!
Yeah, can't you read?
I bet them's the ones took Snow White.
The Seven Dwarves, the challenge with those guys was that there's another bunch of seven dwarves that are very famous in another animated film. We have our seven dwarves are basically, I thought of them as a creature, one creature with a head that speaks, and that's dwarf number one, the big guy, the leader. There's one scene in the film when you see them all walking by a rock and you see the shadow of their hats. Well, I imagine they're a caterpillar. And that was a sort of an underlying theme, feeling that we wanted to have, that we wanted to keep them as a group that was sort of, didn't have really strong personalities. Okay, what I want to do now is introduce you to the poses part of the process. And what that is like the word says, we pose out the action and the performance for the animators. You'll see from the sketches that we investigate how a character will move in any given situation. So basically it's a bunch of little drawings that help us animate our film.
Don't let her get the stab! Let go of it, little freak! Oh no! No airbags!
What you see here is what, let's call it step 2 of the process in preparing for the animation. This particular example here, what this was done for, these are drawn by the animation director. And what he was trying to do there is explain to the animators who were having a difficulty in animating the scene. They made the carpet fly with the castle across trees and everything, but they couldn't get the characters right. They couldn't get how Mambo would react to the flames, how Monk would try to hold on to the carpet. These are drawn by the animation director. So all they are really is a clear explanation to the animator of what we wanted performance-wise. Because in most of the film I could act out how a human character would perform in a particular scene. There was no way I was jumping on a carpet and off a building to explain.
Always the same thing. The good guys win.
This sequence here, we call this step 1, that's a storyboard. So the storyboard dictates, you know, the expressions and the acting and the staging and where the character should stand. And what you see in this particular instance here is actually you have 2 separate drawings, but they're actually together. These were storyboarded separately. So I think what's happening is if you look at Monk sweeping, in the background is Mambo is on the ball. So what we were doing was trying to explain to the animators is do each character separately.
I'm dancing, I'm skating, I'm skating.
In a lot of cases in the film, we would have taken the storyboard, photocopied it or scanned it, cut them up and sent them as examples of posing. So they're a kind of a hybrid. With the witches' brooms, well, they first started out as just brooms. And there was a discussion had about making them into biker witches. I call them broom bikes. That became the nickname for them. And I thought they're like horses. So they rear up and they come and they wait for their master to get on them. These things suddenly turn into a little bit of characters. So we had to further explain these to animators. And we'd have to say, no, that's bike 1, this is bike 2. He's a little bit more angry. What I want to do now is introduce the walking and the walks section of what we did. The fun we had here was that I got to act the idiot a lot and play all the characters. And it meant that to explain to an animator how Rick would walk, how a certain troll might walk or a wolf might walk, I got up in front of the camera with a couple of other guys in the studio and we basically played out the part. And it allowed us to show exactly how I wanted particular characters to move. So enjoy. Wolf is now on all fours as he's charging past, and he's got that kind of werewolf running thing. So it's not like a dog, it's like he's got this huge front area, chest, and huge big arms, and small back legs. So when he runs, you really want to get that pushing himself. He's out of breath. So he sees a tree, he's running, he's like, and he hides. Hi, I just want to introduce now the color, light and effects section of what we did. This is the important process which brings all of the aspects and all stages of our production together. In an animation, the most important because it's the final image. It allows you to see the mood of the film, the everything, the textures, the emotion, the drama, all under one umbrella. The way we approach the colour and lighting and atmosphere of this world is quite theatrical. What I mean by that is that it's like something you might see in a stage play, as opposed to the real world, which meant that we stylized everything. Originally, when the film was conceived, it was very much real. If you look at the drawings that you'll see there with the colour, with the flat 2D animation style drawings, they were early attempts in us trying to see how it might look as a 2D, film. There's a very important decision that was made about lighting in terms of not to do with colour, but in terms of where the light comes from. And when the world is good, it's lit from above, like the sun lights it, or like there are spotlights or lights in the ceiling. When it went bad, we put the lights underneath. We dropped the light down, so everything was underlit. There's a yellowish tint or a kind of a warmish feeling when everything's good. When the world goes bad, when Frida takes over, we sucked the warmth out of it. We didn't make it go cold blue, we went for a greenish. There's an example shot that you'll see, an old drawing of Rick and Ella standing in the woods and the light comes through and it's very realistic, and it was almost inspired by artists like Bruegel and Rembrandt, but it didn't suit the tone of the film. So with the colour and the lighting, we got bright, we brought it up and made it, we got a bit crazy with the pinks and the purples and the whatever, So our palette became much more stylised. And that influenced a lot of stuff. When we tackled the effects on the film, the concept, the idea we had tied back into our stylised theatrical feel. And we thought, how are we going to do this, How do we want to have laser blasts or blasts from the staff from Frida? Now in the design, I wanted to have 3 in 1. We combined these 3 colours, these 3 shapes into one beam. So it's got one in the middle and it's got these other 2 spiraling things around the core, which is hot. And that was a challenge, I think, for the effects animators. So we ended up with this very cartoony thing in 3D, which almost looks like a drawing in light, and that was important that we got that. And that carried through all the effects. If you look at even the light, that when the floor collapses, it's just beams that are kind of just gently moving. It would have been very easy for us to get into the lava and a volcano, but no, the effects guys really tried to make it feel artistic, stylized. Everything has an organic feel. That was a big thing for us.
Oh, let's see, I'm Monk. Mambo, get down! I am Monk, and my nostrils show I've got dandruff and bad B.O. Stop fooling around, you're gonna break it. And he's running! It's Mambo by a mile! You spin it off that stand, you are in big trouble! I'm dancing, I'm skating, I'm backward skating, not so easy, Ah! Blah, 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 blah. But I didn't!
Hiya, boys.
Whoa! Ouchie, mama!
What's doing?
Frida?
So this is where it all happens. And all this time, I thought it was fate.
You can't be up here!
What is she doing here? I didn't order a stepmother.
Come here, cutie. Show me those magic arts. Come on, big boy. Teach me.
I kind of go for these power-mad, villainous, evil women.
She thinks I'm the wizard. We don't really do workshops. Maybe you can come back another year?
This operation's about to have a hostile takeover. Just call it a little power play.
Man, she is good. I mean, bad.
Locks on the door.
Oh, bars on the windows.
I know who lives here. Hey, that was my big
big toe.
Hey! You get away from there!
No trespassers!
Yeah, can't you read?
I bet them's the ones took Snow White.
We don't even know Snow White.
I used to spy on her, though. Well, no, more like peeking in on her. No, checking in, let's call it that. I checked in on her occasionally.
We're looking for the prince. If we don't find him, the kingdom will be lost.
Oh, and can I remind you of something? We're being chased by the bad guys.
Correction. Surrounded by them.
Please, please, you have to help us.
Inside!
Blah, 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 blah. But I didn't!
Hiya, boys.
Whoa! Ouchie, mama!
What's doing?
Frida?
So this is where it all happens. And all this time, I thought it was fate.
You can't be up here.
What is she doing here? I didn't order a stepmother.
Come here, cutie. Show me those magic arts. Come on, big boy. Teach me.
You know, I kind of go for these power-mad, villainous, evil women.
She thinks I'm the wizard. We don't really do workshops. Maybe you can come back another year?
This operation's about to have a hostile takeover. Just call it a little power play.
Man, she is good. I mean, bad.
Locks on the door.
Oh, bars on the windows.
I know who lives here.
Hey, that was my big toe.
Hey! You get away from there!
No trespassers!
Yeah, can't you read?
I bet them's the ones took Snow White.
We don't even know Snow White.
I used to spy on her, though. Well, no, more like peeking in on her. No, checking in, let's call it that. I checked in on her occasionally.
We're looking for the prince. If we don't find him, the kingdom will be lost.
Oh, and can I remind you of something? We're being chased by the bad guys.
Correction. Surrounded by them.
Please, please, you have to help us.
Inside!
And the same old frog prince. Wait, I got an idea. Let's tip the scales, give her a bad ending. Just a little teensy-weensy bit off balance. It's not gonna hurt anybody.
Forget it.
Why forget it? It'll be fun.
Stop!
That's more like it. Frog sushi.
Wait a second.
Whoa!
Guys, don't goof around with the scale.
Oh, my butt.
Now, Monk and Mambo, you have to maintain the balance between good and evil. Remember, guys, I'm counting on you to look after the kingdom while I'm on vacation. It's happily ever after we want, not happily never after.
Don't worry, boss.
We're pros here. We're your assistants.
Actually, I'm senior assistant.
Oh, what? Just because he hired you 300 years before me, that makes you senior?
Guys, 3 days. I'm counting on you. That's better. Those robes are so heavy. I need this break. Keeping happy endings happy can take a lot out of a wizard. Monk, open the portal!
When should I bring you back?
Let's see. Golfing at St. Andrews on Thursday, Highland Jig Friday, darts at Jock's Pub Saturday night, Sunday morning. Earlier if there's any problem.
Everything will go by the book.
Just like it always does.
Just think about what you want and go for it.
Happy endings a lifelong dream, like catching a clear sunbeam. I say it's high time I live happily ever after, not happily never after. I say it's high time I live happily ever after, not happily never after.
I'm sick and tired of your hopefulness and your goodness. Once and for all, I'm gonna show you that dreams don't come true.
You're alive!
She never had a chance, okay? She was dealing with me.
Hang on a second. I thought you wanted a prince.
I had one all along. I just didn't know it.
Like I always say, good triumphs over evil. You wouldn't be needing a sidekick, would you? 2 sidekicks? Shift in power. Let me handle this. Yeah. Yippee! Hooray! Great!
You were saying?
Child.
Don't cry, child.
Cinderella going to the ball again.
I don't care how she feels about me. I love her, and I have to help her.
Well, I guess you can't believe everything you read.
I'm sorry. It looks like the shoe didn't fit after all.
Don't be sorry. He's a good lad. Kitchen boy. He's a good man.
You know what? I just realized. I don't even know your name.
Me either.
Why, it's Humperdinck. But my friends call me Humpy.
So, Humpy, where are you going now?
Wherever my good steed takes me. I'm throwing away the book. Yeah, steed! Away!
I have an idea. I have a house.
Oh.
You guys can cook. We should start our own restaurant. Ella's.
Hey, don't you mean Rick's? And no princes will be served. Ah, okay. One prince will be served.
So basically, that's it. What? In the book, that's not how it goes? Well, who cares? As long as they end up happy. Life doesn't always turn out the way we expect. Take Frida. You could say she's chilling.
Back! Bad creature! Get back, you! Ooh, ah. All of you, get